Welcome back and welcome in to the Fireside FPL. I'm not done. To the Fireside FPL podcast. And we're back.
Damn, I was hitting quick on you.
Yeah, man, I wasn't done yet.
I think that's my favorite one so far.
Do you know how much pressure it is to come up with these every time? I think about this for 7 days straight.
I should be a little nicer.
A little more
you.
considerate,
Yeah,
man.
That's my bad.
It's a tough job. I know other people make it look easy because it's not really that hard, but sometimes I struggle.
It's okay, Sean.
You're amazing.
I support you.
I really appreciate you for that, guys.
Can't speak for Phil.
I support you, but I also freely criticize you.
That's fair. That's
So
fair.
it's a good balance.
All right. On a real note, welcome back to Fireside FPL. This week, we are looking, back at week 7 and forward to week 8. We're going to do it just like last time. We're going to give you some transfer news. We're going to give you our players. We're going to talk about our teams and how we finished. And that's pretty much what we're going to do. So, Dave, get it going, man. Give us the transfer news.
If I must.
You must.
So let's take a look at some of the market movement so far this week. As last week, we'll start with the transfer ins, the most frequently transferred in players so far. A couple guys at the top we've talked about a whole lot. Brian Mbeumo, favorite of the podcast.
Mbeumo.
Listen, I'm just going to keep saying it the same way.
It's fine. You want me to pronounce your name Dav?
That's fine.
Is
Whatever
Mbeumo from
easiest for
England?
you.
No, Cameroon, I think.
Is it
Right?
Cameroon?
We'll check
I
it
heard
out. We'll check
heard
it
a
out.
Brit say Mbeumo. So.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go, Dave. Keep going.
After that, a lot of people want Bukayo Saka after his big game. Some people dropping the two Liverpool big guns, Salah and Luis Diaz, for him, who I'll talk about in just a second. Dwight McNeil, Brennan Johnson, a couple of guys we recommended last week. Brennan Johnson scored again, so we like that. Cole Palmer, also understandable, but a couple guys down at the bottom that I want to talk about, or the bottom. The 6th most transferred in player this week is James Justin. He's got 2 first names.
Yeah, so I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't know who that is.
He is a fullback for Leicester. And
Okay, now I know why I don't know.
he's had 2 very good games in a row.
Good. I got to get my
Probably.
research going
Are
then.
they playing Southampton next?
They are.
Oh, my goodness. I got to get my
Maybe
research.
maybe you should
Pay more
pay
attention,
attention
huh?
to Mr. Justin.
Maybe I should.
But maybe you shouldn't, because like I just said, his last 2 games are really good. He's got 22 points over the last 2 games. He had 2 goals 2 games ago, which was kind of random. And he's getting transferred in, which feels pretty reactive to me. I don't know about you guys. He's not expensive, just $4.5 million. But before this, he was kind of an afterthought, and rightfully so. I mean, Leicester aren't that good. 0.09 expected goals, 0.03 expected assists in the first 5 game weeks. That's, you're not paying attention to somebody with those numbers.
I don't feel so bad.
Yeah. After, obviously the last 2 weeks have boosted those numbers, but they're still pretty far down the list amongst defenders. He didn't have any shots on target for the first 5 weeks, only 1 attempted assist, only 3 successful crosses, so wasn't super involved. And as such, nobody was really paying attention to him. But beyond that, the reason I call this reactive and I'm not really looking to pick him up is Leicester is just a pretty bad defensive team, like all around. His expected goals conceded, and this is for James Justin, Wout Faes, and Leicester's other defender who's played the same amount of minutes, whose name escapes me at the moment. 16.6 expected goals conceded for those guys. That is second highest in the league.
It's nice.
And only
nice.
1.07 expected clean sheets so far this season. So if you're trying to save some money, again, he's not expensive. I just like so many of the other guys that are around that price point better. Anthony Robinson, just for comparison's sake, Fulham is Anthony Robinson. It's a team stat, but he's at 7.3 expected goals conceded so far this season, and he plays every game. 2.76 expected clean sheets for Fulham. I like Lucas Digne better, Mickey Van de Ven better, Aina from Nottingham Forest better. So he's not somebody I'm recommending picking up. I think a lot of these pickups are pretty reactive. he does have a good matchup against Southampton. So if you need somebody, maybe you have Nasser Mazraoui on your team who got dinged up in United's last game. Maybe you switch him out. But James Justin is not somebody I'm really recommending. I would be much more comfortable sticking with other guys at that price. I don't know about. I'm assuming Sean agrees since he didn't know who James Justin was.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I can.
Sounds like hell yeah.
I can assure you, I will not be getting
Let me
James
pick him
Justin.
Not mean to hate on Mr. Justin here, but
I'm
this is
not
just
hating.
my opinion.
I think the only way people could be picking him up is if they plan on dropping him after a week or two.
How expensive is he?
Just 4.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
they're
save
getting them,
cap.
They're also getting them to trying to catch the heat, trying to catch the wave he's on.
Yeah.
Well, you save money, you get an easy matchup, and you potentially set yourself up for another transfer next week because I'm sure it's going in with a combo to, dropping another player. Or like if you drop a Luis Diaz, I think I saw, you can pick up him and Mbumo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a couple transfers left, like I said, maybe someone's hurt. It's around the same price, like Mazraoui. Give him a shot for a week. Why not? It's a good matchup. But moving further down the transfer ins are two guys that we're going to talk about. Liam Delap. He's gotten on the score sheet a couple times for Ipswich Town, and Konate for Liverpool. Has put in some nice performances lately for them. But like I said, we're going to come back to them. Now, the part I really want to talk about are the transfer outs because there's some surprising names on that list. I don't know if you guys have seen it. João Pedro is getting transferred out. People still jumping off him because he's hurt. That makes sense. But other than that, the other two names at the top are Luis Diaz and Mo Salah. And it surprised me. Some people hopping over to Mbuemo, Brendan Johnson.
I think Mo Salah was probably we talked about it last week. It's probably directly due to the fact that people were trying to get Palmer.
Yep.
They're basically the second and third best at that position. Salah's more expensive. We talked about it, so people are getting Palmer for $2 million less.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I did. So
yeah, and if you're doing that, I can't blame you. But both these guys are not. I mean, they're not necessarily guys I'm trying to get rid of. I know. Luis Diaz didn't start the last game, so maybe that is factoring into this why people are dropping him. But I think it's just some squad rotation because he did start against Bologna in the middle of the week in the Champions League. So did Szoboszlai. He started against Bologna. He also didn't start on the weekend. So he's been awesome. He's had a couple off games lately, but in my opinion, if I have either of these guys, like I said, unless you want to drop down to Palmer or Saka off Mo Salah to improve other areas, I'm not worried. Liverpool's probably going to have some squad rotation. I mean, they play Leipzig, Arsenal, and I think Brighton twice in like a 11-day span at the end of this month. So you're probably going to see some squad rotation. I wouldn't worry about it. They're both still awesome. Liverpool's a great team. So I'm holding those guys if I can. I do want to talk about Emile Smith-Rowe as well because he's the sixth most transferred out player. I think he's been really good for Fulham so far. I know Phil and I were talking about Fulham before we started recording. We like what we see from a lot of their attacking players. But I think this is another one. He didn't start against City because they played five in the back.
Right.
He has started every other game when they play their normal formation. He's at a nice price point, so he's not somebody, again, that I'm looking to transfer out. I mean, he's still pretty heavily owned. He's still at, I think, 27% ownership last time I checked. So, again, this one's probably just a quick reaction to him not starting against Man City. But the last guy I want to talk about is Alisson Becker, since he got hurt in Liverpool's game, and he was a fairly heavily owned keeper. So you might be looking for a replacement for him. Obviously, some of the other goalies, at a similar price point at 5.5, Ederson, Pickford, Pope, are the pretty easy logical switches. So if you want to keep it at the same price, all of those guys are good options. We've mentioned Everton's good schedule last week and a couple times now. I just want to point out, guys, say what you want about Man United, but Andre Onana is the number one keeper in fantasy so far.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah, but the best keeper is, as you just said, Alisson. He's owned by 8.8% of people, which just goes to show that goalies don't matter.
They might not matter.
If 8.8% of people owned Haaland, we would think there's a problem.
Yes, there's a lot of dumb people playing fantasy soccer.
So just, I agree that, I mean, if he got hurt, which does stink, but in the grand scheme of things, maybe you can now go save some money and get a goalie that's decent for less because they really don't seem to matter too much.
Well, you read my mind, Sean, because the person I was really going to recommend is Matt Sells from Nottingham Forest.
That's my goalie.
I have him as well. They're a pretty good defensive team. They play Crystal Palace this week, who can't seem to score whatsoever.
So 2 center backs are also hurt.
Yeah. Check out Matt Sells if you want to save some money.
How much is he?
At keeper, 4.5.
4.5. That's pretty
That's
good.
Save a
much
mil.
the price you're going to pay for a goalie that actually plays, but isn't expensive. So
yeah, and so those are pretty much the notable guys. Alexander Isak still getting dropped. Makes sense. He hasn't played well. Is injured.
the fact that 13% of people still have him blows my mind.
I don't know. They must have great squads
I
otherwise,
guess so, 'cause that's mind-boggling to me.
or they're not checking their team. But yeah, so those are the guys that I wanted to highlight in the transfer ins and outs. But now we're going to move in to something entirely different.
Boo!
No, we got
Boo!
to
No, I'm not
a
giving.
slow clap.
No, I'm not giving him.
do it. He deserves it. There we go.
So I mentioned last week on this podcast, it's been unfortunate that we've had to congratulate ElMatador pretty much every week on beating us.
Phil.
Phil,
I won once.
since you didn't win this week, I'm not going to use your nickname.
That's fair.
Phil did not win this week.
I did not.
I won this week. 62-point output.
You did.
Now you guys did well, 55 and 50, I think is what I saw.
52.
52
Better
and,
than the
and
average.
55.
Yeah, the average is 46. So yet again, we all beat the average.
We're trending up here.
We're trending up.
Trending
Imagine if you hadn't had the save debacle.
Yeah, if I learned how to hit the save button, I would have had 16 more points because I would have captained
That
Bukayo
would've been
Saka.
tough.
But, you live and you learn. But, yeah, so Bukayo Saka did the business for me this week. Would have done a little bit more had I hit save. Kai Havertz scored. Thiago Jota with a strong game. So Trent had a nice game. Emi Martinez with a clean sheet. So it was a nice week for me. Best week for my team so far. And excited about this next week. I can add Cole Palmer into my lineup. Captain the proper person. So
That'll help.
you guys might be in trouble. But Philip,
Well,
you were second. Go
don't
ahead.
get too ahead of yourself because if we look at the standings, you're still far ways
Listen,
down.
Yeah.
Especially from ElMatador.
Let me have happiness.
We gave you like
Plenty-
35 seconds of happiness.
Brief,
Plenty-
fleeting
Dave,
happiness.
plenty of game weeks left. You do that the rest of the time, and you might beat us.
There is a lot of golf left.
There's a lot of golf left. Phil,
I mean, I just had an average week.
what does that mean for me? I got last.
You had an average week too. I mean,
Little
we've
less.
been pretty neck and neck, you and I,
Yeah.
the last few weeks. I will make an announcement here that last week I questioned Saka.
You did.
On this podcast.
I recall that.
Now, there's times in life when you're faced with adversity, and a true man recognizes his mistakes. And we did joke around, what if Saka turns around and scores a goal, or a couple goals, a couple assists? And sure enough, he did that. My dumbass also triple captained Haaland. He ended up with 6 points with a triple cap.
Hate that for you.
So long story short, I'm a disgrace this week with my suggestions. But my team, I think Digne continues to be a good surprise. Raul Jimenez, I'll talk about him in a bit. He's awesome too. And then the new guy transferred in, Konate. Liverpool got the clean sheet there, so that was a boost for me too. But I think with my team, I'm happy where they're at. I think I have some decisions to make in terms of Salah. Watching him, he just doesn't look like himself. He's not taking on players. He's not getting in positions to score. It's kind of a weird feeling watching him play right now. So I don't know if this is just a small dip, but I'm keeping my eye on him. But yeah, 55 points for my team. Used my triple cap for nothing. So that sucked, but that's about it.
All right. I guess that's on
Yes,
to
yeah, Sean, you finished third, so you have to go last.
third place.
Last.
I guess
It is your turn.
It's third place.
Trash.
So I finished with 52 points, right under Phil, but I did beat the average, which was 46. Yeah, I mean, like Phil said, it was a pretty average week. Digne had 8. That was a good one. I got him, I think, specifically because you talked about him one week, Phil, so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Wood had 8, so that was a good one for me. I captained Mbumo again, so he got 16, which was great. Palmer was 6, so that was decent. And I left Lewis on the bench. I may start playing him. I have Robertson on my team, who frankly is just not performing. He costs a lot. So I may be looking to move off Robertson next week and just get someone cheaper. So we'll see what happens. I said Robertson, by the way, because I also have Robinson. I wanted to make sure I didn't get those confused. Yeah, Robertson for Liverpool. I probably want to move off him. Yeah, but that was pretty much it from my team. McNeil, who I suggested, who I picked up, did not have a great game. Ollie Watkins, who I also picked up, didn't have a great game. But then going into this next week, I already made a transfer. I went and listened to my own advice, and I got Kovacic. So, last week we talked about him. We said wait and see a game or two more, see what he looks like in the Man City team. Clearly, he's no Rodri, but he is going to be someone that's looking to score goals. So we'll talk about him later. But, yeah, I think, I went and picked him up, so I'm going to play him this week.
If I can make a comment on your team, I do think with Rodri being out, Lewis is a great opportunity for you because they kept him in when they needed to win and when they needed to close out the game.
Yep.
So they kept him in, and to your point of view, so Robertson, replace him with Lewis. That's going to give you a lot of cap space too.
Yep. I have 3 Man City players now. I have Haaland, I have Lewis, and I have Kovacic. I think the fact that Rodri's gone is going to – I think Haaland's going to be the worst off of those 3 players with Rodri out, just knowing that the offense is just going to work differently, especially De Bruyne's out too. He'll come back. It'll change a little bit. But, and frankly, Traore – should have scored a goal up against Walker, who messed up, and he didn't, right? He missed that breakaway, correct?
Sure did.
Yeah, so...
He missed 3 clear chances.
But the point is, it's just another reason for Pep to say...
Easy on my boy Traore.
It's just another reason for Pep to say, okay, Walker, what are we doing out here? He's not looked good 2 weeks in a row. He's looked fine, but, he's had mistakes 2 weeks in a row. Against Arsenal, we saw it this week, so... I don't know. Lewis, again, we said it. Said, just hold on to him. He's cheap. Leave him on your bench.
And he's interesting because he fits into that attacking role so much, even though he's a defender in FPL. He doesn't play defender really for City, so he's kind of a fun little wild card there.
Agreed.
Yeah, but that's my squad.
I do have a concern with your team.
What's that?
Brian Mbuemo didn't score in the first minute.
Someone else scored.
Is he okay?
Someone else scored a minute
sick?
and 13 in though.
Yeah, Colin
did it
scored
again.
in the second minute. Yeah,
they did. 13 seconds into the second minute, but they're crazy.
It took Brian Mbuemo 20 minutes to score.
Brian Mbuemo.
I'm concerned.
Brian Mbuemo is the best buy I think in the entire FPL right now. For
Mr. Consistent.
He's kind of expensive, but my goodness, he's killing it. So that is that's my squad though. So. I guess.
Well, I know, Sean, you wanted you mentioned Mateo Kovacic.
I did,
and I know he's one of the guys you wanted to talk about in our roundtable.
Yes. So we're jumping.
Why don't you fire it off?
Yeah, we're gonna jump into like Dave said, the roundtable where we're each gonna give you 2 of our players. We'll go one by one. It's 2 players that we want to talk about for the upcoming week, whether we think they're good to put in, take out, or just wait on. So I'll get started with, like Dave said, Kovacic. We talked about him last week, and what we said was, listen, Rodri's out. They're completely different players. Rodri was FPL irrelevant because of the type of player he is. Kovacic is more of a box-to-box guy that wants to shoot the ball, right? And he wants to look to score. So just because Rodri wasn't good doesn't mean Kovacic won't be good. Obviously, this week he had 2 goals. So, it wasn't a bad idea to just wait it out. And now that he has 2 goals, maybe you start to think about it. So I mentioned I traded out Shad for him, which was not a bad trade because Kovacic is 5.5 million and Shad cost 4.3 million, so it wasn't too bad of a swap. But I think he's now pushed past the wait and see phase. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Kovacic?
I think the wait and see phase might be coming to an end. Maybe not this week, but maybe after one more week, if he has a decent game, might be time to think about picking him up. He's on a top tier offense, as we know. He's going to continue to get opportunities. But again, they're different players. He and Rodri. Again, we mentioned it worries me about Haaland a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be able to do what he did at the start of the season without Rodri. But, that's another story for another day.
I think they'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Pep will adjust. But yeah, I think Kovacic is a great recommendation, especially he's only $5.5 million.
Exactly. Now, here's the main concern. This is why I'm saying he's not like a must-buy. I don't consider him a must-buy. He has 3 shots on target and 3 goals. Clearly, that's not sustainable. But I mentioned it earlier. He gets a lot of blocked shots. So, because he shoots it right from the top of the 18, so maybe that's playing into that. He has 12 total shots, and he's way above his ex-FPL. He's got 36 points. His expected was 24. I mean, I'll take that. Week 1 was a really good week for him, if we remember. But the stats won't blow you away. So when you look at his stat numbers, you're going to say, I don't know about this guy. Yeah. But remember, he hasn't started all season.
Yeah.
Right? He's expected goals of 0.6, expected assists of 0.31. That ain't great, right? Projected 20.7 points over the next weeks. That's not amazing. That puts him near Traore, Smith Rowe, Madueke. I think he's going to beat those expectations as he's now playing 90 minutes, and their schedule is absolutely ridiculous for ease. They got Wolves away, Southampton home, Bournemouth away, Brighton away, Tottenham home, and then they have Liverpool away. So that game gets tough, but 4 of those next 6 games are
man,
and 4 in a row.
Use your triple cap on Haaland against Southampton at home. Holy, I'm an idiot.
The other thing with Kovacic that he's just going to be on the ball a lot.
Yep.
And we know City controls games, plays a lot in the opponent's final third. Him and Thomas Partey have the most just flat out total touches in the last 2 weeks. So he's going to be involved. Like you said, he's a bit more, looks to create a bit more offense than Rodri. So it's definitely worth, I think, picking him up to just see if this continues.
Yeah, it's 2 games in a row with 90 straight minutes. So it's his spot to lose. And yeah, I think if you want to pick him up this week, I did. I think it's worth it. If you really want to wait another week to see how it really plays out, go for it. He's not a must-buy, but I went and bought him. I think he's definitely someone to consider.
And it's a good way to differentiate your lineup because he's only owned by 2% of managers right now.
Exactly, because people aren't really owning a lot of the Man City midfielders. So
yeah,
but
I think it's worth a shot.
Yeah, that's my first guy, Mateo Kovacic. So Dave, who's your guy? First guy.
Oh, my first guy. I mentioned him briefly. My first guy. I did touch on him briefly in the transfer ins section, and that is Liam Delap of Ipswich Town. Like I said, he's been on the score sheet a lot lately. He's a really good option at his price point. Like I said, if you've yet to move off João Pedro, I would move off Danny Welbeck for him. Some people have dropped in Dominic Calvert-Lewin for him. And whether or not I would drop DCL for him is beside the point. But Ipswich kind of had a rough start to the season. They played Brighton, both Liverpool and City in those first 3 games. But they've gotten on track. I feel like with their attack a little bit more lately, they've looked a lot better just in general as a team. His expected goals is only at 165 for the whole season, which isn't anything to write home about, but he's pretty much at 1. He's at 0.96 for the last 2 weeks. Just in the last 2 weeks, he's got 5 shots inside the opponent's box. He's had 3 big chances, and all of those numbers look really good when you compare him to other people around his price point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I would necessarily take him over everybody that's kind of in that sort of mid-5s to $6 million range. I think I'd still hold on to Raul Jimenez if you have him over Delap. I think if you have like Chris Wood, I wouldn't.
Can you stop taking our players, please?
Yeah, man.
Just talk about your own players. Huh?
Be original, Dave. Just because you won 1 week.
Yeah, you think you won and then you own this podcast.
Yeah, what the hell?
I have no idea.
Let's rename it the David FPL podcast.
Boo.
That name kind of sucks. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, the name does suck. Keep going.
But
Dave.
anyway,
Did you say Fire Dave?
I said David FPL podcast.
That was awesome.
Not my best.
I think I would take.
Sorry,
You guys are just derailing.
That was rude of us.
we apologize.
You're
That was
just
rude of
derailing
you.
Liam Delap's moment right now.
Can you tell
and I
that
don't
we're upset?
appreciate that.
Can you tell we're upset?
Yeah, you guys lose one time and you
And
just
we're
go
upset.
totally
We're upset.
unhinged.
All right, keep going.
He has a very good schedule. Everton, Brentford, Leicester coming up. So, like, for example, if you have Jamie Vardy, if you still have Strand Larson from Wolves, they play City this week. I think I would take him over them. I would take him over both of the Brighton guys. I know Danny Welbeck has been great, but they got Newcastle, Liverpool, and City in 3 of their next 4 games. So maybe Delap is somebody you take as sort of a temporary guy. If you're using John Duran from Aston Villa, I'd probably take Delap over him because Duran doesn't start, plays like 20 to 30 minutes a game.
Scores, though.
That's crazy.
And if he doesn't score, he's useless. So
Yeah,
I would take Delap over him.
Duran. What a guy.
So yeah, Liam Delap, good budget option if you're looking to change up your forward line.
I just want to say one thing of him. I've actually watched, I think, 3 games this year for them. So obviously not all of them, but the last 2, he just feels like a player that gets it. You
Comes
watch
in
him
with
play-
so much energy, man.
So much energy, so much
Yeah.
strength, and he has quick feet. He's good on the ball, and you just watch him. You're like, he might not score always, but he's going to create opportunities, and that's what at the end of the day you want, someone that consistently creates opportunities.
Imagine being as a defender and you see him sub and you're like, dude, it's been like 80 minutes.
You're gonna have to run.
Kill
Wait,
me now.
we're talking about Delap.
I was talking about Duran. I was
Oh.
talking about Duran.
I mean, Duran's probably the same idea, but I was talking about Delap.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I was with you there, Phil.
Okay.
My bad.
Thanks. Can we shit on Sean now? Just
Are you
kidding.
done yet, Dave?
Yeah, it's Phil's turn.
It's my turn. Finally, I can talk. Jeez. So yeah, last week again, I had some embarrassing suggestions, but we'll forget about that
Okay,
one.
next I'll go.
Something I've really been thinking about for FPL's defenders and how I can get the most bang for my buck with defenders because it just doesn't feel like some of them are worth their price point. So obviously he's a guy that's been transferred in, but someone that I picked up was Ibrahima Konate from Liverpool. I think Liverpool's second in clean sheets, just behind Man United.
Somehow.
Obviously, he plays alongside Virgil. Liverpool has the 3rd or 4th most corners in the league, so obviously he's a aerial threat. I'm pretty sure, counting the Champions League, he has 2 goals and 1 assist as a defender already this season, so he can give you some production there. But overall, I think he just has an opportunity to get clean sheets. And if you compare him price point wise to other defenders, you have Saliba, you have Gabriel, you have even Van Dijk that are above 6 million or at 6 million, and he's only at 5.2 million, and I think he's 2 or 1 points behind Gabriel.
Wow.
So
That's
in
impressive.
that sense, when you look at that price difference with Gabriel, why not pick him up? And honestly, I think Liverpool does have a better chance at getting clean sheets the way they play than Arsenal, even though now they're tied with 3.
I do think they might be the best defense. We keep going back and forth every week. This
Yeah.
week they look like the best defense. The week before was Arsenal, so take your pick, right?
He's way beyond the expected FPL points. It was 26. He's at 37 already. The one thing I'll say about him, 2 tough matchups coming on the way, Chelsea and Arsenal. Then he has 3 easier ones against Brighton, Aston Villa, and Southampton. And then they play City. But then after that, he should have kind of in the middle in terms of difficulty for fixtures. But maybe don't pick him up this week or next. But I think at 5.2, he's just that guy that's going to get you points as a defender and not cost you an arm and a leg like some of the other top names.
Hey, man, you play the top 3 teams in the next 6 weeks. You better believe that schedule's going to get easy for a long time.
Yeah, they've got a long stretch in the middle of the season with some nice matchups.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get on to my second player. So I may pronounce this first name wrong. Is it Noni or Noni Madueke?
Noni.
Okay.
Noni.
Get that one worked out. So my second player is Noni Madueke. Again, just like Kovacic, it's even less than Kovacic though. He is not a must buy kind of guy. He is definitely a wait and see guy after his performance this week. The reason I really don't consider him a must buy is because his price. He's $6.5 million for a midfielder. You can get Semenyo for 5.6. You can get McNeil for 5.5. Smith Rowe 5.8. Brennan Johnson, who's been killing it, 6.5, same price. So for that reason, he's not a must buy for me. But I think most people are growing in confidence every time they watch Chelsea play. Yes, they are still a little erratic, but that offense just looks better and better and better every week. You have, 2 weeks ago, Nicholas Jackson pops off. Last week, Cole Palmer pops off. Or 2 weeks ago, Cole Palmer pops off. This past week, Madueke didn't pop off, but he had a goal. He had 7 shots. He had 3 attempted assists. So there's a lot of offense to be had on Chelsea's team. He's projected 20.4 points over the next 6 game weeks. That's right next to Kovacic, so they're similar in that respect. Schedule is not terrible. It's not amazing, but it's not awful. I think going to get him this week is a big mistake. Don't do that. Again, wait and see, because they are playing Liverpool this week.
Yeah.
So do not go get him.
Away.
But after that, though, they get Newcastle at home and United away. So at that point, if he does look good this week, maybe think about it. He does look like he's underperformed just because of his rough scores. He had a rough patch of scores. But his ex FPL is 33. He's at 43. So he's over. Yeah, his first game was 20 points.
Oh, was that when he had the hat trick?
Yeah. So, there's a little bit of, it looks like he's underperforming. He is over the mark, but he had 20 points in his first game. So he is still a tough one, I think, to figure out. The price did just come down a little bit. So, after having 7 shots, 2 on target, 3 attempted assists, and a goal, right? So that's pretty good. And if you watch him, did you watch the Chelsea game?
Yeah.
Anyone? When he cuts it on that left foot, he's pretty scary.
Yeah, he's dangerous.
And he does it almost every time. Every time he gets that ball, he just constantly cuts in. And if he starts connecting on some of these, I'll tell you what, man, he's going to be very dangerous.
Yeah, you definitely want a piece of that Chelsea attack.
Exactly.
Jackson, Palmer, Madueke, whoever it is.
Pick your poison. Yeah.
They do look like they're starting to figure it out going forward.
And he's 5th in total shots, right? And he's tied for 4th with Mbumo, shots on target. Point being is the opportunities are there. He just needs to connect.
Right.
If he does, we're going to see a pretty good player. So that all being said, for me, like I said, he is a wait. Give it a week. Let's see what he does against Liverpool. If he looks dangerous against such a good team, it may be time before 2 easier games to think about putting him in the roster if you're looking for a straight swap. So that's my second, Madueke. And Dave, I'll pass it back to you for your second.
In keeping with our informal theme of this show and liking Fulham, since we talked about Raul Jimenez, Emil Smith Rowe.
Yeah, I like Fulham.
We did mention this guy, I think briefly last week. Can't remember, but I think we did. Adama Traore is my second recommendation for this week. He hasn't really had that breakout performance, hasn't had a price increase, not really getting the love from the people in the transfer market yet, and I think it's because of that. He hasn't had that game, to draw your attention, but he's been very consistent. He plays a lot. He's played at least 60 minutes in every game. But let me ask you guys a question. The top 5 in expected goals amongst midfielders for the whole season. Cole Palmer, Mo Salah, Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz. Who's 5th?
Adama.
I only, context clues there.
You set that up. What about you?
Adama.
I have to spoon feed you.
It would have been
sometimes.
funny if you'd said someone else.
Yeah, no,
Wrong.
I've
Idiot.
I've watched 2 of their games, and he just misses
he
every
does
opportunity.
Now, I will acknowledge he does miss some chances. City game is Exhibit A, but again, 3.24 expected goals. Only the big guns have better numbers than that. 16 shots, 12 attempted assists, 7 big chances. Only Mo Salah has more big chances among midfielders than him.
In the spirit of not insulting my own pick, I will definitely agree with you. I just said Madueke has a bunch of shots but can't finish, and that's why he's valuable. So to your point, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do think the chances were a little different. Traore's
That's my point. The chances are very different. I'm backing my guy, and Dave's guy has much better chances.
Guardiola was even coaching him at the end of the game. I don't know if you guys saw that.
God.
He was telling him how to kick the ball, basically. But anyway, back to you, Dave.
But His XFPL is 6th amongst all midfielders, 42.4. He's the same as Brian Mbeumo. He's heavily involved. And he's only 5.1 million. So again, if you need to save money, you don't like who your budget midfielders are, think about Adama Traore. The other part is they have a good schedule coming up. They play Villa, which isn't great next, but then it's Everton, Brentford, Palace, and Wolves. So I don't think you're overly concerned with any of those matchups. And the other part of this, like we all love Antoine Semenyo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. His expected numbers and Adama's expected numbers look really, really similar. Semenyo's just got a couple more goals. So if Mr. Traore can keep getting into good positions, he'll score eventually. I promise. He'll score eventually.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
He'll get assists too.
Oh, no.
He probably has top crosses, top 5, top 10 in crosses.
He's got a lot of them. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I believe in him and all of his muscles, which he's got a lot of. So Adama Traore is my second recommendation.
I mean, if it was a benching competition, absolutely, Dave, pick him up.
He's the number one pick.
Yeah, of course. Philippe?
We're going to stick with Fulham. My guy is going to be Raul Jimenez, and I'll keep this short and sweet because I know Dave touched a bit on the Fulham calendar. I will say that after the first 6, what?
Dave's laughing because Raul was his man.
I love Raul Jimenez.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Phil.
I picked him up because you talked about him 4 weeks ago, but I trusted him. You didn't. That's the difference.
That's true.
That's true. He's not on my team. That's true.
You listen to Dave and you're him first. Dave doesn't listen to himself. No, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I'm pretty sure after this next 6 weeks, they have a kind of a medium schedule in terms of difficulty, but the next 6 weeks, they have the easiest stretch of games in the EPL. So Raul Jimenez being, you can see it on the screen here, 5.6 million. I think he has the most involvement of Fulham. And to talk about the team for just a second in relation to this player and kind of Dave's Adama Traore, they remind me of Madrid when they had Benzema, where Raul Jimenez is playing that role of Benzema, and you have 2 super fast wingers on the side, and he drops in, and he just plays that ball out wide. He may not score, but he's going to get those passes through for Iwobi and Traore, so he could get assists there. I mean, he got assist against City with a crazy heel cross, but Fulham is also one of the most crossing teams, and he's incredible in the air. So, again, it's not the hardest stretch of games. He's cheap. He's getting involved, assists and goals. I think he's honestly a very, very good pick to have up front for a cheap price.
Yeah.
I love that, Phil. I love that for you.
Thanks, Sean.
I love that for you.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm in first.
Summary time. Let's rip through this one quick for the people. So I'll go first. Mine were Mateo Kovacic, and for him, I'm saying he's an up arrow for me. You know, I think if you want to wait another week, wait, but it might be time to go pick him up now. So that's where I am with him. And then Noni Madueke, he is a wait and see. Do not pick him up this week. He plays Liverpool. If he looks good and you watch the game and you see it, maybe you'll get him next week if you have someone it's a little more expensive you're trying to move off of. Dave?
Liam Delap. He works hard. He's been great the last 2 weeks. Ipswich getting better. Very nice budget option if you don't like your current budget options. And Adama Traore, as we said, we like Fulham. Lots of you out there like Antoine Semenyo. If you like him, you should like Adama Traore too.
That's a hell of a summary out of Dave.
It's really good.
So good. Tough act to follow. My 2 guys are up arrows. I have Konate, best bang for your buck, defender. He's an aerial threat, big chance for clean sheets. And then Raul Jimenez, cheap forward, very involved in a very offensive Fulham team.
All right. And then last but not least, we're going to go captain, vice captain. Just so everyone knows, we do base this off of our own teams. We're not just picking random players. So for me, I am going to... Wait a minute. Let me get to game week 8 to make sure I'm thinking about this correctly.
Sean forgot his team.
I don't think of my team. I just want to remember who they're playing. Oh, I lost permission in my own team. That's unfortunate. I think it signed me out. Okay. Well, my captain is Mbeumo. I think I got signed out.
Surprise.
My captain is Mbeumo. I think, do they play Crystal Palace? Is that who it is? Someone give me a read on that.
Oh, I don't know, Sean.
All right, let's do your work for you.
Yeah, please do my work for me. I need it.
The Angry Beavers, so people can look up your team.
You don't need to look at my team. Just look up who I found it. Mbumo plays United. So I'm gonna captain
Triple captain.
I'm gonna captain Mbumo this week, and I'm gonna vice captain Haaland again. It's been working for me 2 weeks in a row. I'm gonna keep riding that train. Dave?
I'm going to vice captain Palmer against Liverpool and captain Saka against Bournemouth.
Saka. I am freaking torn, but I have to go quick. Sean's staring at me.
We're on the clock.
Haaland, because Wolves are chaotic defensively. I think he's not going to go 3 games without scoring. Captain Haaland, boom.
Captain Haaland, who's your vice captain?
Who's my vice? Saka, because now he's the best player ever after I wanted to drop him. So
that's a good player.
Let's go.
All right. There you go. Perfect. All right. So that is Fireside FPL Podcast. Looking back at week 7, looking forward to week 8. We'll be back here same time, same place next week. Please, if you're listening, either reach out to us on our official email at firesidefpl@gmail.com. Ask us questions, give us feedback, whatever you want to talk about, and comment and like the videos on YouTube.
Like the video.
And, our YouTube videos, we have added visuals, but we still are not on camera. So if everyone out there wants to see what we look like, we're pretty attractive. So if you want to see what we look like, let us know, and maybe we'll get a camera in here and we'll get it started.
Your girlfriend.
I have a wife. But yeah, all jokes aside, please reach out to us. Questions, feedback, concerns, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. It's like an old 90s voice message,
Yeah.
After the tone, we'll get back to you. Beep.
Exactly. All right. And with that, see ya.
See ya.
Bye.